Today's Thursday, April the 11th. Nice to welcome everybody back. I do have smaller numbers attending this evening, so I know some of you are joining me online, some of you are in person. Either way, just let's have a strong finish with the semester and get ready for the next semester. Probably have some, I know you need some time off to unwind and, get your personal things in order as well. I know we have a personal life other than school. Also, I'm going to announce something else for next week because of the way things are happening. We'll do something online. It won't be a class per se. It might be like an additional bonus thing I'm going to teach you. But today will be technically the last lesson. Okay. Next week will be like reserved for a makeup class. If we missed anything, presentations sometimes we used to do. The way things lined up this semester, there's no presentations. Next semester, you'll be doing your portfolio presentations. Okay. So we'll still meet here, same time, same place, okay, but remotely. Okay, so I'll see you guys online. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to I might show up actually. So if you guys want to come here, we can show up here. But let me see how the numbers. We'll have like a vote or something. I think maybe the way I'm seeing it right now, maybe online is better. Do you have a class next week with Mark Anthony or no?
Yeah.
In person? Okay, so maybe we'll do an in-person class then as well. Okay, if you guys are gonna be here, I'll show up here. If you guys are not gonna be here, then there's no point me coming here either. Yeah. Oh, I see. It's gonna be a quick little class probably, right? I remember. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and shut the camera and share my screen, and we're going to get. I did upload the video. I had some guys, honestly, bit of a mental break there with all these videos uploading. I guess it didn't upload properly. You should see it there, last week's video. If you click on the YouTube lectures, you can see on the bottom here, it says deleted, but it's uploading, okay? So you will get last week's video there. I just did it again right now before I started the class to make sure it is gonna be there, and I'm gonna upload this week's class. So you're gonna have all these videos. I promise you, by tonight, I'll upload this one too, okay? Sometimes I do it and it doesn't finish and something happens, I gotta stare at it, while it's uploading sometimes. So I'm gonna make sure I do that, whatever it takes. We'll have the last video there, so but nonetheless, you have class 11, very important, and class 10. It's how we do the some of the processes for the final project. I know both of them are due at the same date. I gave you as much time as I could. I mean, you can do the website for me if you want, this week, but I thought I'd give you till the end of the semester. So just to kind of reflect on that one, you do have the see here, the Photoshop module. Right. So the Facebook ad assignment, I almost finished grading that. So you should get some grades if you have handed it in. Be patient. The motion design is due on the 18th. So it's the last week of class. All right. And your big classes, sorry, your main projects is the website, the web page design prototype. Okay. So I went to cover that in the past week and the week before that. So basically I'm looking for you to do a web page in Photoshop, like a mock-up, and not to try to sell you on it, but it is important that you know how to do the design techniques, and now you're learning the coding techniques of building a website. Just to kind of give you a quick refresher on what professionals do here. I got many templates, but this is just some of them one I salvaged recently. So if I go and show you, here's an example. This is a Photoshop file of a website template. You can even buy these templates online. Photoshop is still, becoming a great template tool, because people take this template into Figma and XD, right? Those programs are great for prototyping, but Photoshop's Photoshop, okay? The stuff you can do in Photoshop is no program can match it. This is why we're learning these things here. And not only for, website purposes, for any purpose, Photoshop is a great tool. Just to kind of open this up quickly and to show you where we left off. While that's loading, I'm going to open up class number 12. This is how we built the website last week. We built a desktop website with a mobile website. We did a conversion. So watch that video when it's uploaded, how we did this, okay? And we did it all in Photoshop, of course. Okay, so just to kind of make my timeline, let me close this timeline window so it doesn't interfere with what we're doing here. All right, so we did a desktop website for the second time, and the takeaway here was how to export the assets, because all these images were exported for HTML. So I covered that thoroughly in last week's video. And just to kind of quickly show you how we set it up, we put the actual name of the files, okay? So there's the body, the frame tool, the footer, there's the home page, there's the mobile. So these are the artboards actually, right? And this is how it's set up, okay? So, and then we converted these images into sources for the HTML. I just don't see where, I think I did it here. I don't know if I saved the last version, to be honest with you. But let me just quickly recap that. So once you do a nice design, look, even this one, there's another example here of a professional website design. It's like a restaurant design, okay? Look at all the layers, how they're set up here. You have the header, the slide, you have the banner, you have some of the other items that go here, the other banner, testimonials, right? Testimonials and all the other elements, you know, the footer, right? So you can build a whole website in Photoshop and then export the assets for HTML, okay? This is a little too heavy for me to go through. This is a little faster. Let me just quickly do a recap. And again, watch the video because I do cover that. Just to quick, remember, this is the new way of using Photoshop now for web production. Oh, by the way, we also took a mobile version of that as well. So again, I covered that in last week's lesson. I made another artboard for a mobile responsive design. All right, and once that's executed, we can then produce it into development mode and make it a real thing, because design is important, right? And it's, I think, easier to execute. You can't just sit there and make a website or an app. You have to design it first. You have to put the colors, the fonts, right? You guys know, you take the UX class, UI class with Felicia. I'm sure you cover those important elements of design. And once those are integrated, then you can produce a real project. So this, this is the same way going forward. Let's pretend I want these images to be exported for my website, right? I have the design. Now let's make like a website. Well, I can easily click on this image here, right? Right? And this image is in this container. See, it's in this container. And I did this by holding Option. So it's like a clipping. I did what's called a clipping mask, right? So clipping mask, release clipping mask, or you can just make a clipping mask, okay? Create a clipping mask. And that's how we clipped all these. And then there was a new thing called the frame tool. Again, I covered this last week. I don't want to be too repetitive, but just to quickly show you what we did here, we renamed this rectangle image 01.jpg. Okay, so I put the extension here. Look, I'll do the same thing with this image. I'll click on this image. This one's a frame tool. So I use the new tool here in Photoshop called the frame tool to draw a frame and to put a picture in it. You can also drag and replace the picture and do nice things too as well. So this is called another image here, image 02.jpg. Okay, right. Then we have another option over here. Let me just do another image, right? This one will be called image 3. I mean, that should go in order and from the top into the bottom, but just enough to show you how you can export these elements for real HTML. Let's not forget the type tool. You can literally copy the same font and style and CSS up here under the layer menu. You can copy the CSS code and paste it into a folder and then put that in your real code, right? If you copy the CSS, you can go to just like a basic text editor, right? And you can go to any editor and just basically put your code right here. So anything you can reference from your design, you can transfer it to your HTML, CSS, JavaScript, right? So it's really, really clever ways to use this in Photoshop. This is why we're still using these techniques, because professionals still seem to lean towards this method, okay? And of course, there's other tools I know along the way. So once you know how to do all this, make sure you execute. Let me just do another save as very quickly here, because wherever this is saved is wherever the folder is going to generate for the image assets. So if I go to the desktop, and I'll call this, you know, 03, just give it a new name, as a Photoshop file. I'm going to save my entire document, which is located right over here. And by the way, when you do that, this is your project, this design here. When you hand it in, you give me the Photoshop file. So I can open it, I can see what you did. Okay? Yeah.
Because we have seen that from Figma we exported in Zeppelin, and from Zeppelin we were able to extract it in our VS Code. And then
How did it look? Did it work okay?
yeah,
Because there's some other tools, plugins that do the same thing. Yes. Yes. That's right. Yeah. That's right.
like from here to Figma or XD. And
XD, not Figma, because Figma is a different. Adobe almost acquired Figma, but it's still a separate entity. Adobe still owns XD. Unfortunately, in Figma, you have to find a plugin that can open Photoshop files or find a way to import them individually. With XD, it's so simple, you just open. It's called something else. There's another plugin that does a similar thing. Convert to HTML. That's what it's doing. There's so many things right now online. You can just look for it, right? Plugins, you know how they are, right? It's like dime a dozen. No, just for this text element here. That you have to make. Yeah, you put the sections and stuff, you do all that. But let me show you now for the images how you put, because this image is the perfect size to go there. So when you name the extension, let me do another one here. This image here will be image 3. This one's going to be image 404.jpg, right? And this one's going to be image 5, right? So on and so forth. You name the images accordingly, and then you export them. Look, this back banner, look, this social media icons here, we're going to call this socials PNG. You see that? There's an extension for it. So you name everything accordingly, and then you export. Then you do this, watch. When you save the file, what you do now, this is called the activator. You go to File, Export, sorry, Generate, Image Assets. And what's going to happen is it's going to make a folder in the same location with the tree directory, and it's going to export these extensions here into that folder, right? And it looks like this. Look how nice this looks. Look, everything. This image, same size. So ready now to go into the HTML, right? Looks the logo, look, the logo, the social media icons, everything. And what you can do is there's a whole tutorial on this, and I covered this last week a bit. I think I made a link for you under the Photoshop module. What's it again here? Here's the link. If you click on this link from last week's lesson, you go inside this, read this whole tutorial on how to export PNG, GIF, all from Photoshop, from the layers, how to do this. So again, I explained this last week's lesson. Watch it and you'll show the next stuff, okay? All right. So just a quick recap. This is why we're doing this as a final project. It's important for you to how to design a website, and like what better program than Photoshop, right? And then let me show you then again what's the benefits of this. So let's say you save it, right? And then let's say I close this file. And now that we're talking prototyping, right? So what you can do now is, and I did do another version with slicing to make the layout in HTML, but that's only for prototyping browser purposes. It's not for making a real website. You still have to, at the end of the day, make the code because it's got to be responsive and stuff. But I did do a fast one. I did pull this one off last week just to show you different angles. But let me show you what I did here. I did make the HTML file. Was it web ready? Yeah, I did do this, right? So I did open this up, and it did look like a real website. See, like you can actually go and do that stuff, but it's not responsive. That's the only problem. So this is only for show and tell, for presentations. Make a real website, you gotta code it from scratch. Okay, so please remember that. But let's get back to the whole Figma and XD thing, right? So what happens is when you do actually go to let's see here, right? This is the PSD file, right? Right? Look, I did a mobile version and I did a desktop version in Photoshop. So what? So watch this. Watch this. Right click, open with Adobe XD. That's it. Adobe. They talk to one another. Figma doesn't talk because it's a different software. I wish it did. But that's okay. XD still used. It's just it's not supported anymore by the developers. They might change it. They might. Who knows what happens with software? One software goes, another one comes. So look now. And I know you guys did XD in the other class. Look at this now. I have a whole prototype in XD. I can go here. I can zoom in. I can make these into buttons. Okay. Look, these are my social media icons. Look, these are my images. I can double click. You see that? Like total control, guys. This is XD right now. So you can take your Photoshop design into XD. Look, here's my layers. Okay, look, here's the mobile prototype. Okay, here's the desktop prototype. Okay, that's why I love XD for this. It's really communicative. Let's say I click on this image here. Look, there's the layers. Look at all the layers here. So everything that I did in Photoshop, I was able to export in XD, okay? Because the Adobe programs talk. So there's the benefit of using Photoshop for many, many purposes. And some would argue and say, well, how about a real website? Well, then you export the image assets, like I showed you, right? To HTML. Like, so you can use this one, this one, this one. You put in your website. So it covers every production angle possible. And don't forget the title of this class, it's Web Production Techniques. So you're producing elements, sources for the website. My job wasn't to make you how to build a website. My other colleagues do the good job doing that. My job was to do more design and efficiency with exporting image assets, getting creative with the software and using it as a tool making process. Okay, so again, last week's video covers all this, okay, except the XD thing, it's new. I just wanted to show you that today, basically to remind you how important it is. What you're doing is really important stuff, okay? So today now we're gonna change the angle a bit and use Photoshop as a production tool for animation. We're gonna make an animated web today, okay? This is really fun. A lot of people enjoy doing this kind of stuff and making money. Because look at social media. Like companies are investing millions and millions, if not billions of dollars in social media networking. And it's no longer images, it's video, it's animation, it's things like that. So if you're like if you're like working for a company, doesn't matter if you're doing web production and stuff, they might ask you to produce an animation or an ad. What are you going to hire somebody else or give the job to somebody? You can do it yourself and get paid. So this is why you're going to learn now how to create this production for web. We're going to be using the motion design techniques. So if you want to click on this link here called motion design in Photoshop, it's going to download the sources that we're going to use for this lesson. So let's go ahead and click on, it's called Air Mouse with aircanada.zip. I'm going to download this file here and we're going to work with that one. So just download it to your desktop. Once you downloaded, okay, you can open the file. It'll extract a folder called Air Miles with Air Canada logo. All you see there is 3 ingredients. You see a picture of an airplane, nice PNG, cleaned up for you. A picture of a logo, Air Miles. I don't know if you're familiar with that program. You collect points. I use Air Miles personally. I save like 3 cents a liter if I go to a Shell gas station, for example. And it adds up. In a month, you might give you like $30, $40 of gas. It's not bad. It's free money, right? So they use a lot of these programs for promotional purposes. So I figured not just to do a cheap little animation, let's do something that you see on the internet, YouTube, websites, make a real animated production for the website. So we're going to use Photoshop as a tool for that also, okay? Because it's way more robust than Figma or even XD for that, okay? Photoshop actually has a timeline. It can go, you can do lots of cool things. Then you can take those videos and bring them to Figma and XD and stuff, okay? So you can, again, use it as a production tool to leverage your production techniques. So let's go ahead and make this animation happen. We're going to go to Photoshop right now. We're going to start a new document, right? Start a new document, file new, okay? And this is your last assignment that you have here, okay? This is easy though. You can also do this like tonight, okay? This shouldn't take you more than 1 hour. This one, maybe half an hour if you're fast. So it's motion design for web, basic animation. Okay, if you click on that, it'll tell you basically 30 frame. I'll put the size in here too, so you're clear on the size. Okay, so we're gonna go size. I'm gonna go 900 by 300. So it's a 9:3 ratio. Okay, that's the size. Minimum 30 frames. Motion design, opacity or effects tween optional. And you're gonna export this, save it for web as a GIF or a Photoshop format. So this is the expectation for this exercise. Trust me, it's super easy and fun, and you're gonna be able to do this in under an hour. And you can do any theme. Doesn't have to be Air Miles, Air Canada. It could be anything. So this is your last little assignment that goes to look together with the project. Should you put the two together? I can't really see that happen because they're both separate files. But if you make a real website, you can bring the GIF into the HTML, right? Just image source, and you put the GIF in there. All right, so I'm going to save this. Go ahead. This is due again Thursday, April 18th. If you want a slight extension for this, because I'm giving to you last minute, you know what? I'll give you a few more days, okay? Just because you're doing the website. Tell you what, I'm going to give you for this one till the end of the week. I'm going to make it Sunday the 21st, okay? Just to be fair, because I did give it to you kind of near the end. So I want you to do a good job and have fun with it and not get stressed out because the grades are due the following week. So we're okay. I'm going to hit save, and that's that. Okie dokie. So that's that. And then we're going to continue with the exercise now. So here's how you approach the project. You go to web and you create a web page size template. Now, how big are these animated GIFs on the web? Well, let's take a look. Let's go look at some of these GIF templates that are online. Let's see, animated GIF sizes. Okay. So there's lots of sizes here. Oh, let me just type web banner sizes, right? These are more traditional sizes. There's no real size, okay? You can do whatever size you want, but these are the most common sizes websites use. Like this one is 728 by 90 pixels. This one's 730, 300. This one's 300 by 250. So the requirement could be anything. You have to make it that size. That's why you're the producer and you make the animation fit the exact dimension. So when you're asked what size is this going to be, you got to find out because when you come here, you make that size. Now, I gave you something to go by, so you're not just kind of walking into it guessing sizes. I made sure here, I put here just now 900 by 300 pixels. So that means we're going to make our size right now 900 by 300 pixels. Let's go to Photoshop. Let's click on any one of these and just customize this to be 900 by 300 pixels. Do me a favor, turn off the artboard. Artboard is good, like we did last week for multiple pages on a website. You might do a mobile responsive version and a desktop version. But if we're doing like a simple animation, artboards could be problematic because of the way you export the GIF. It's going to open the outside edge. Just turn off the artboards when you do animation. Okay, just better that way. Okay, 900, 300. So if you're watching this video, you can just do this project with me live and get it done under an hour. Okay, I promise you. So you hit create button, and here it is. Here it is. Okay, so I'm looking at now this Air Miles logo with the airplane and stuff. Wouldn't it be nice to make some clouds in here so it's not just a white background? So to make clouds, I'm gonna go and change my foreground color to blue. like a nice dark blue. And the background color, I'm gonna make it white. The reason why I choose blue and white is because most of the time, if you look up, that's the color of the sky. So now there's a filter in Photoshop under filter, that's the word filter, and you go to render and you do clouds. And yes, Photoshop can generate random clouds. It's always random, so the chances of you having the clouds as me, it'll be impossible because it's always different random clouds. Look, I'll do it again. Filter, here, look, clouds, okay? Or filter, render, clouds. Usually you have to go here to get it the first time. The second time, it should show up over here, okay? So you see, clouds are always random. It's a random texture. So now that we have the clouds, let's bring in our cast member, which is the animated element. In order to do animation, Photoshop has to implement the concept of space to time. And this is how animation works. I've been doing this animation stuff since, oh boy, maybe 30 years, okay? With Flash. I did it with Macromedia Director. I've used some other After Effects, some other very cool programs. Photoshop is, you know what? It worked its way up. I wouldn't say it's the best animation tool by far, but it can do some pretty nice stuff when it comes to simple execution. And Photoshop is Photoshop. That's why I like the fact that Photoshop, as a program as it is, you can still diversify it for a timeline sequence of an animation. So if I go to Window and access the timeline, that's exactly what you're going to get is a timeline down here. This is called space, and this is called time. Space to time is what makes animation and TV, video production, all these things. And how do we make that? We assert frames per second. So by standard definition, there's 30 frames a second when you watch television. Now with the higher frame rate with games and YouTube could be like 60 frames a second. So it's pretty fast and more vivid with graphics like 4K, 2K, that kind of stuff. So we're just going to keep it simple for now. We're going to convert this to a frame animation because you can do video and frame. We're not going to do video. We're going to stick with frame animation. So make sure you click on frame animation and you click on that button that says frame animation to convert this to look like a frame animation timeline. Just to make it a little bigger, I'm going to click on the top right corner here, go to panel options, and just make my thumbnail larger so you can see my thumbnails better. You don't have to do this, but I just did it for preview purposes. So again, here's our timeline, here's our layers, here's our scene. Most animation programs you use have a very similar setup, like a video editing software or an animation software. They all have some kind of a timeline, and they all have some kind of layers and this artboard. So now let's bring in some items. So I'm going to go to File, Import, okay, or sorry, Place Embedded. Okay, so File, Place Embedded. I can also do linked or embedded. The difference is linked you can change later. But linked, you got to be careful because you have to keep it in the folder. So if you do linked, I mean, make sure, look, this is all located here in this folder. So I want to make sure everything is kept together, right? Just like you would when you have a real directory on GitHub or you do a local directory for a website. Same kind of deal. This is my directory for my production. So basically what I want to make sure also is I save this right away, save it in the place so you know it belongs there. So I'm going to go File, Save As. This will be called Air Canada animation, okay, on my computer. And I'm going to go to that folder and save it in the same location as everything else as a Photoshop file, right? Just taking precautions, making sure we do things right. Now we can start. I'm gonna purposely do file, place, linked. I can do embedded, but then linked gives me more versatility. I can change them to some. Think about it. You do an advertising campaign. How about if Air Canada changes companies to WestJet or another airline? Then what? Then you can change the brand like that. All the work is done. You just change the graphics like you would on a website. You change the colors, the logo, the content, the website frame structure stays the same. Whether using a WordPress template or something else, same analogy, template approach. I'm going to teach you how to work smart, not hard. Okay. You got to work hard first, but then you can be smart at the same time. So that's why we're going to use the place linked option instead of embedded. Okay. Again, both work, but this one gives you more leverage when it comes to dynamic updates. So let's go ahead and use the linked option here. Let's get the airplane in there first. And there's the airplane. Make it a tad bigger. Press enter and move it all the way to the left side because I want the airplane to fly from here to there, right? To have a nice flying technique. Now, everything like this involves storyboarding. Every animation, every movie, somebody has to write a script. You know, the writers, it's a very important process. It's not just that simple. Even building a website, you have to have like a framework, a blueprint, a wireframe design, right? And then you build a website, right? You can't just build a website or build an animation. So let me show you some of the more professional approaches that you see on the, let me just type in here. Animation storyboard. And if you do take this stuff seriously and you go to another animation school, you're going to have to do this kind of stuff. Yeah, you have to draw like a little comic strip to tell the story how the thing will play out. Here's another one here. So this I'm going to draw. Like I can get up on the board and draw the airplane flying in, right? But you get it. I would literally go ahead here. Well, I might as well do it short. If I was to do a storyboard here. This would be frame 2. Right? Frame 3. Frame 4. Or scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4. Like a director doesn't move. So scene 1, airplane comes in from left to right. Airplane's gonna go like that, right? All the way to the end. So it's gonna go from beginning A to B. Okay. Scene 2. The logo comes in, Air Canada logo. And we'll do a fade. Okay. Logo fade. From 0 to 100% opacity. Scene 3. The other logo comes in. This one drops down from the sky. Literally the sky. This is the Air Miles logo. Right? Scene 4, the logo glows and disappears. So it's gonna go disappear. Boom. 0%. I just made a storyboard. I'll be honest with you, I didn't make it up. I did this before with other projects. It's kind of here. But I couldn't. I honestly, I did it the first time. I just kind of went up there and said, what do you want to do? Oh, okay, what do you want to do? And I took everybody's idea and I came up with a storyboard. And those of you listening to me at home, I just drew like something very similar to this diagram that you see on the right. Correct, guys? You can vouch for what I did. Very simple. I used a marker and I drew a storyboard. And you guys missed it because you're not here. Only the people that are here saw my awesome drawing skills. Right? So now let's see what happens next. So I literally drew one of these little boxes with what's happening. So now I can go ahead and start my execution. So I go over here, as we said, we're going to go over to the right, move this up a bit. And the trick is this little button here. This little button is very special. What that does is it duplicates the frame. I don't know if you've seen the little flip book when you were like, I was a lot younger when I did this animated flip book. Okay. I don't know. You saw this kind of stuff, you know, like you flip the book and you can see the actual animation, right? See that, right? That kind of stuff, frame by frame stuff, right? How do you think they make Disney cartoons? All the cartoons like we used to watch when we were little. Even now, there's a lot of animation that's very popular in many different countries and genres. They do this animation stuff, right? So the way we're going to introduce it here, you can do frame by frame. If you do like a bouncing ball or something like very, you know, stock and classic, you can just click here, make second frame, and move the airplane just a bit, a little bit, not too much. Make another frame, move the airplane more. make another one, move it more, make another one, move it more, make another one, move it more, make another one, move it. You get the idea, right? Basically, I can make a whole, look, a lot of turbulence on this airplane. I don't think the people will be too happy, but that's okay. Maybe the pilot had too many drinks. All right, so we're gonna go down here, right? So basically I made, look, 16 frames here, 17 frames, right? Right. So basically what I did here was if I press play, okay, I just made an animation, right? You can do so many cool, and think about it. You can put layers and other things and animate the whole thing. You can do the whole production here, right? But I'll teach you something more professional now. This is just a, like to see how the concept works. But really, for me to make a proper commercial, I would not do something like this unless I'm doing like something like a bouncing ball, somebody walking. Perhaps I got to spend maybe a couple of hours drawing and stuff and scanning pictures. But you could be done. Yes, this is still used today, okay, as a classical animation style design. But we're here to do things. Remember, I said an hour. I didn't say 1 year. I said 1 hour, right? So we're gonna go over here. I'm gonna delete these frames with shift. I'm gonna select all the frames up to frame 2 to frame 18. I'm gonna hit the trash can, hit OK. Let's start back at frame 1. Now that I showed you how to do classic stuff, I'm gonna show you how to do more advanced stuff. And it's not that advanced, it's just, remember, smarter. So the smarter way works like this. And if you look at my storyboard on the board I drew, it works like this. Next keyframe, right? What happens is the airplane goes from here all the way across to the other side, just like that. Look, we have AI, we have software, we have computers. Let them do the work. Why are we doing all the work, right? So all we have to do now is tell these two frames with shift. I select both of them and I just hit this little tween button. It says tween. Tween is an original derived term they use for in between. Tween, it's called motion tween. Well, in between of what happens? Well, in between those two frames, I can add as many frames as I want to make a smooth animation. I want to be smooth, so I'm going to put 20 frames. 20 plus 2 is 22. And this covers these parameters: position, opacity, and effects. I just leave them all on because the next thing I might do is opacity. The next thing I might want to do is effects. So those are the only 3 we can do. The only thing you can't do is scale. You can do scale with a different format. Maybe next week I can show you that part. Right now, you just stick to this. You can do lots of cool things. You don't have to do scale. Just do motion or position, opacity, and effects, and you can really have a nice time doing this. So 20 frames, okay? This is just default. You don't have to do nothing else. Leave it alone. Press OK. And look at this. It did the 20 frames for me. Now, if I press play, okay? Look at that. Another airplane, and another airplane, and another airplane. It keeps playing. It's a loop sequence by default. I can tell it to stop. I can give it different actions. But right now, this is like, look how easy and smooth this is. Thanks to my storyboard, I was able to go from A to B, tween the rest, done. Okay, so now what? Well, now that we go to the very end, when the airplane exits, let's do one more frame. Exits, right? One more. You see how I just added another one and another one, right? In this frame, I want to introduce the company, the brand, Air Canada, right? Or whatever airline you want to do, maybe, right? So I'm going to go to File, Place Linked. Oh, by the way, make sure this is set to, this is off. And I forgot to mention this. This new layers, visible in all frames. If this is on, you're going to have a problem. So I think by default, it might be on. Please turn it off. Turn off this new layers visible in frames. If you turn that off, this should work a lot smoother for you. Just make sure this pop-up panel, nothing is checked on. That's a good way to kind of capsulate this whole thing. So nothing is checked on. Everything is off. Perfect. I'm going to go to File, Place Embedded, or Place Linked. Here comes Air Canada. It's a PNG file. Double click. Perfect. Okay. Press Enter. So now when the airplane, look, I'm just going to click on the frames here, departs, the logo comes in. But does it just show up or does it fade in? Remember I did the storyboard? It does a nice fade, right? So how do you make the logo fade in? Well, first you have it at 100%. Look, 100%. See, 100%. Then you duplicate it. So I have a copy here and a copy there. Now, they're both 100%, right? But I want to go from 0 to 100. So I click on the one before. I got 24 and 25. So I click on the 24th frame. I go up here and I drop the opacity to, look, see that? 0. So from 0 to 100%, I'm going to do a nice tween. Just like I did with the motion. Now I'm going to do the opacity. Remember the parameters? I can do tween now. So I hold shift. I select both frames. I click on this little shooting star icon tool, which is tween. Now 20 is too much for this. Maybe I'll do like 10. 10 frames, nice and smooth to fade in. And this is now demonstrating the opacity parameter, okay? Because they're all checked on. I just demonstrated position, which is motion design. Now I'm doing opacity, which is gonna fade in. And the next thing I'll show you is effects, and that's it. With this knowledge, you can do so many cool things. So I'm gonna press the OK button, right? And let's press play now. Now I'm at, look, 35 frames. Airplane comes in, logo fades in. Airplane comes in, logo fades in. Looks actually pretty good. Very smooth. Don't forget, commercials happen fast. They pay millions of dollars for 10 seconds. All you get is 10 seconds. You have to be fast and execute the brand. So here we're executing the airplane, Air Canada. Well, then what? Well, then we're telling people to participate in our Air Miles program. So we're going to save this. Let me do a quick save. Okay. I'm going to go to the very end. Again, remember, when you want to, it's like telling a story. And you go back to the end. My end is 36, the frame. So frame 36 or 35 is where I continue doing my next thing. Next thing is always create another frame, 36. Another one, 37. There we go. I always make a double just in case. So it stays there for a second. So 36 to 37, what happens now? What should happen? Go ahead, tell me. Should the logo move? Should it fade out? What do you think? So make it fade out. Just like it faded in, have it fade out, right? I agree. Let's do that. So basically, we're going to have the logo just the way it fades in. We're going to have it fade out. For that to happen, we go to the last frame. We diminish the opacity to 0. So we're going to go from 100 to 0, just like we did from the beginning. We're going to hold shift, select both frames, tween it. We do 10 again as last time. Press OK. And now the logo will disappear, right? Let's press play. Nice, right? Subtle, phase out. We can pause it for 1 second. We can do pauses and have like more, um, I guess, moments of delay or pausing if you want to do that. Okay, so far pretty simple stuff, right? Just be mindful. I know it looks easy, but just make sure these things are all checked off. I noticed people have problems when they forget this on. By default, this is on. Here's what happens. If you have this on by default, okay, and you want to bring in the new thing now, like let's say we want to bring in the Air Miles logo, it's going to show up everywhere. It's going to be a problem. That's why you want to make sure this, just trust me on this one, turn this off, okay? I don't want to screw up my animation, then I've got to do all over again. So leave it off, okay? Next thing is the Air Miles logo falling from the sky, literally speaking. We're going to go to File, Place Embedded, linked, because we're going to do the link thing. Here's the Air Miles logo, right? Let's make it a tad smaller. and we're going to have it go from up, it's going to come down. So if that's the case, just like the airplane, we're going to move it all the way up like that, right? Okay, we're going to make another frame, duplicate the frame, 48, and we're going to have it go down. Hey, can I have it fade and come in at the same time? Move and fade in? Yeah, of course we can. We can do both. We can do fade, opacity, and move together. And then we'll do glow and effect. And that covers all three parameters. So for that to happen, we go from here to there. Let's do the motion first. And also, because since we're considering doing the opacity, I'm going to tone down this to 0% opacity. So it's going to go from 0 to 100% and move in position at the same time. So that to happen, I'm going to hold shift, select both frames, go here, hit this tween button. Remember, not this one, it's this one here. Tween 10. Let's do 15. Let's make this a little more gradual and smooth. 15 frames, press OK, and that's exactly what's going to happen. And then you know what I'll do after? I'll pause it. Look at this. I'm going to pause it for 1 second. You see this? 1 second of pause. I prefer to do this later because some people forget and then everything is paused for 1 second and it messes up your animation. So just be careful when you do that. Let me do the same thing here when this fades in. Right? So maybe frame 36, I'll pause that for 1 second as well. 1-0 means 1 second. No delay means 0 seconds. You can pause anything you want whenever you want. Let's see how this plays out now. I think it's going to match my storyboard pretty good. Let's see. So pause. Okay, so here we go. Play the animation. Pause for a second. Keep playing. Air Miles logo comes in. Right? It's like a real commercial. Now, the logo, I want it to glow, like a nice glowing effect. So that's going to be the last parameter we're going to cover. So I'm going to press the stop button, go all the way to the end. Logo comes in. Let's make another frame for the next part. So here's another frame. This is 64, okay? I'm going to go up here where the logo is located. I'm going to double click and give it a outer glow. I'm going to make sure this is set to normal, okay? I'm going to make sure the opacity is set to, something strong. Make sure the spread's on and the size. Can you see it? Can you see it glow? See how it's glowing with the white halo, right? So we're going to do a nice little glow happening. So it's going to go from 0 to like 100 or something. So be careful. This is very gradual. So you have to kind of start it up. So it's going to start from here, 9 and I don't know, 10 or something like that, right? 9 and 10. Opacity will be like 50, right? So click OK. Now we do another duplicate frame. This one. So 65. So from 64 to 65 now, I'm going to go back to the outer glow, literally double click on it and click on the parameter here and increase the spread, increase the size. You see, so it's going to be nice and visible when this happens. Not too much, but enough to make it noticeable. And also the opacity, right? So it's going to go from this to this. And now you tween that. You can change the color from white to something else if you want. So shift select the two, hit the tween button, and 15, sure. Oh, be careful. It says 1 second delay. Be careful. Turn these to no delay. You don't want this to be 1 second. It'll be way too slow. The effect should be no delay. Should happen instantly. So make sure if you pause it, you don't pause the effects. So let's do it again. Keep a mindful stuff for this stuff here. Hit the tween button, 15. Okay. And that should do it. Okay. And then maybe let's play it. I'll have this pause for 1 second. At the end, it'll pause for 1 second too. Okay, here we go. Airplane. Let's do the whole presentation like this. Drop, glow, stop. Airplane, Air Canada, fade in, fade out, drop, glow effect, pause, loop again, right? Everything that I executed on the board, we did it in Photoshop here, and I blew it up nicely on the screen on the projector. It looks pretty good. Nice quality. So now look at the things you can do, right? You can save this as a Photoshop. Always save the Photoshop file, because this is your, even if you close the timeline and you're like, hey, where's my animation? Just go to Window and look for the timeline. Everything is saved. If you have an older version of Photoshop, look for what's called the animation. It's called something else. It's not called timeline. They changed the terminology like a few years ago. So if you don't see this, look for animation. I don't see it now because they made it timeline. So those are the things you're looking for this to be possible. Okay. Now, how do we put this on a website? How do we put this on a social media? How do we put this on YouTube? So for YouTube, you're going to have to go to File, Export, Render Video. You can render videos from Photoshop. Let's do that. Render the video. Just be patient. It'll take a while because its videos are, bigger in file size over images anytime. Okay, now the video is going to ask you where. So you select the folder. For me, it's going to be the desktop. Okay. It's going to give you the file name. It's going to do a media encoder, which is good. Okay, keep it at that. Basically, the defaults are fine. Just make sure the destination is set to the right tree, root directory. Here's the size. You can alter that if you want. It's going to be a high quality export. Okay, the frame rate is 30 frames a second. So everything is basically good to go. And the format will be MP4, Media Player 4, which means you can do audio too. If you want to put an audio track, that's more like a video thing. You can do video, like audio in a different program. Keep audio just visual in Photoshop, okay? So MP4, hit the render button, and Bob's your uncle, as they say. Right? So here we go. It's going to export. Let's minimize Photoshop, okay? And it's going to go right over here. So there's the commercial. How big is this? 1.5 megabytes. How small is that? Used to fit in a floppy disk before. 1.5 megabyte. Not bad. I'm pretty impressed. And let's see how it looks when you play it. Because now it's a video, right? Whoa, that's super fast. But it's a video, right? 30 frames a second. You can make it slower, but just slow the frame rate down. Here, press play again. Video. Now, videos are good for like YouTube and stuff. For websites, I think GIF is better. Animated GIF, because then you don't have to have a video player. People don't have to press. You can hide the player controls, do some different controlling factors. So for that to take place, I'm going to show you another thing now. This is now we're producing things, right? So from our creation to the production, we're going to go to File, and we're going to go to Export. Okay, Save for Web. Now, all the steps I'm demonstrating with this video are located here under your assignments, just so you know I'm always, keeping you guys in the right direction. Look, see, export for web. See that? I'm showing you the steps on the handout so you can execute all this stuff. Look, see, everything I did is here with this video. So do the same thing. Maybe pick a nicer theme than Air Canada. Do something. Get your own graphics if you want. Make something fun. Other students have done the same thing in the past. So if I'm going to go now and make a animated GIF and put on my website, I'm going to go to Export, Save for Web, and don't leave format. Even if I go 30 years ago till today, it's still a GIF, or some call it GIF. I call it GIF because it stands for graphic image format. It's an animated sequence that captures animation in that sense. Okay. The only thing about GIF, though, it's limited to 256 colors. It doesn't have like thousands or millions of colors. But even then, you can still select a palette that matches the colors that are embedded with the file. For example, these colors are the ones it captured to produce this output. So this is called perceptual color palette. There's selective, adaptive, restrictive. They all work, especially the top three. I would stick with the default perceptual, and you can see for yourself what you see is what you get. If I zoom in, you can see it's not, it's okay. Like nobody's going to zoom in the video, but that's what's going to look like. If you press play, it's going to play the actual animation on your preview to show you what it's going to look like, right? You can also resize it here if you want to make it different size. You can also loop it forever, or maybe loop it once. Want it to play one time, or you want to keep playing. If it's playing, then you do forever. But if you go other, you can tell it, I only want it to play 3 times, or as many times as you want. And that gets programmed into the GIF, which is really cool. So I'm going to put 3 times. I'm going to press OK, and I'm going to hit save. Okay. And this will be saved images only into my folder. Okay, let me just save it here. The same folder here. The website, where's it? Where's the folder here? There we go. Air Miles Canada folder. Images only. Save this as a GIF, and it's done. And the good thing about GIFs are this. So here's the GIF. Here's the MP4. Here's the GIF. The GIF should be also almost as big as the video. 1.3 megs, not bad to today's standards, but it's still big for a GIF. Maybe it's the size or the animation. Fine. 1 meg is not going to hurt anyone. Press OK, and there's what the GIF looks like. And this is beautiful because you can put this on. I mean, GIFs are pretty much accepted anywhere, right? It's a little slower than the video, but it's pretty smooth still. Look, it's going to play 3 times. 1. This is the second time. 2. And then 3. I think actually here it might play forever because it's previewing. Let me just make sure. I don't want to guess. Because the browser will interpret the command. Yeah, this will keep playing because I'm hitting spacebar, right? It's a Mac thing, PC doesn't do that. You just open it. PC just go open it. And you just kind of open it in a player. And look, here's your frames and stuff, right? You can do it this way. But the best way to test it is to put it on a browser. So I'm going to open up a browser right now, right? Open up a new tab. See the new tab here, and literally drag the animation in the browser, right? Because the browser acts like a player. So now it's going to play once. Twice. And 3 times I'm going to not do anything. I'm hoping it's going to listen to my command. And stop. Okay? 3 times. So it's a good way how you can have control and execute this on all levels. And you know what else you can do, just to show you how cool this is. I'm going to open up the website from last week. Show you the versatility here. Here, let's go to class 11. Well, no, sorry, it's the wrong folder here. So class 12. Remember this website we made? I think we made like an index page, right? So right click. Let me just make sure it's the right one. Yeah, this is the one, right? We just made a simple web page. We sliced this up last week, I think. I showed you a different way to make a prototype in Photoshop. The slice tool is still to be used. So and I played a song, the Dreamweaver song. Let's open this up back in Dreamweaver, right? Like the song we had played a song last week called Dreamweaver. Nice song. Yeah, back in the 70s. We played it in a few different venues, commercials, movies. It's a nice song. Want to look it up? By Gary Wright, Dreamweaver. Okay, here's our website in Dreamweaver. Why am I in Dreamweaver? It's so much easier to do the code here and to change these graphics around. So I'm just going to go ahead, click on this header here, double click, and change it to, well, I'll just do it remotely. I don't care. I'm just gonna double click, go to the desktop, open up my, Air Miles folder here. There's the GIF. Now, strategically, you want to size it so it matches your website, right? Otherwise, you're gonna have to maybe go, center it. Align equals center, right? You can center it, right? You can also stretch it. Anyways, you're gonna fit it nicely to match your parameters. I'm just doing this to show you. I'm gonna go to save and preview in the Firefox, okay? Or Safari or Google Chrome, whatever. Okay. And there it is. Okay, there is the banner playing on the website. So there's our prototype we did in Photoshop, and I would make the banner maybe go across the whole thing. But basically, you can play your animated GIFs on your website, all made in Photoshop. The prototype, the design, and everything. Okay. So this is why you can do some really cool things and just put this in your image source tag there and put it in your website. Okay. Well, now what? Now I got a call from the clients and they said, listen, we love your commercials so much. Can you also do it for us? Like, what's your name? We're WestJet, another airline. Come. Okay. And who's your promoter? Our promoter is Shell, the gas station, or Esso. I don't know. I'm just making up names. Okay. So no problem. Now we're going to put in the production work for another client. So what do? We go back to first, we collect the sources from them or they give it to you. So usually what happens is you have a meeting and they give you the, WestJet logo. Okay, we'll go to images. This is another beautiful airline here. Okay. Right click, save image as. Okay. And we'll call this one the WestJet logo. Save. And then they're going to also do a partnership with, I don't know, Shell logo. I'll use this one. Okay. Oops. Right click, save image as Shell. The JPEG, whatever, it doesn't matter if we can get it PNG later. Okay, so I got two other sources and the airplane. If you want to change the airplane, you can change the airplane too. What do you want to change it to? Maybe a different airplane. Sure. Rocket ship. Okay, we'll have some fun here. PNG. Well, this is pretty cool. Can't even save this here. Let me just drag it over. My right click doesn't work anymore. There we go. Drag it over there. That's fine. Okay. So as you can see, I got three other sources to mess around with our design here. We're going to have some fun with this. We're going to change the airplane to a rocket. We're going to change the Air Miles logo to a Shell logo. And we're going to change the this airline company with another company. Okay? Because we did all the work. We don't want to do this again. Just want to change the graphics, right? That's why I went File, Place Linked, because I can change the graphics now and make it happen. So for that, I'm going to go back to Photoshop, and I'm going to start at the very, very beginning. Okay. And just quickly do another, just save the file. Save another version. I'm going to call this one save as animation 2. Okay, so I put a number 2 in there. So I have 2 separate copies. And the first thing I'm going to do is the airplane. So this airplane, notice how it's linked here, right? Here's the airplane layer. Make sure you go to frame 10 or 12 so you can see it, right? Double click on this and it's going to open up the airplane separately. This is your kind of your area of work. So then here you go to the folder and you can drag the rocket in its place like that. Okay. Now be careful. Rocket has this background. Please remember, this is a real transparent background. This is a fake transparent background. It's not real. It's fake. So you're gonna have to maybe address that, maybe by going this, making it bigger. We're going to have to fix this background. Okay. So to do that, we're going to use some nice skills that we learned from before. Maybe we'll use the object selection tool. Maybe that's not going to work in this case because the background. I'm going to use a quick selection tool. Okay, this is going back to week 1 here. Just click selection tool here. It's easier if you have a transparent image to begin with. This one isn't transparent, so we're going to have to be a little patient. I'm going to press Q to make sure I get the Q, right? You can kind of see where we're at. Q. Q. Okay. And if you want to fix it more, just go to the brush tool and use the black and white brush and just, oh, wrong one. Just press X and you can really, really fix this up nicely, right? With the brush tool. Okay. So press Q again. Here's a selection. I'm going to press Command J, delete this layer, hide that layer. So I can hide now both, right? Command S. Oh, I got to flatten the layers. Okay, never mind. I got to delete the airplane. I have to delete the airplane, save the file, and close it. So it has the rocket now, right? Okay. Next, I'm going to go to the other one. The Air Canada logo, right? So we go to the Air Canada logo, same thing. Double click. We go File, Place. This time you can do embedded, link, doesn't matter. We're going to get the WestJet logo. Delete this one. Keep that one. Right? Save. Close. WestJet. And lastly, we're going to use the Air Miles logo, right? We're going to go to the Air Miles logo, double click, and bring in the Shell logo. I think I have to tweak this one a bit too, because it's got that background issue again. No problem. Use the quick selection tool. Maybe I'll switch over to the magic wand really quickly. With Shift, I'm just going to add the black and the red and the yellow and the gold. Press Command J, okay? Just delete that, delete that. And this is going to be the new logo that's going to take over my elements there on this logo coming in. Okay, save, close, Shell logo. I just made a new production by swapping the 3 elements. Sometimes you do one, you don't have to do all 3, but I did all three to show you. And lastly, maybe I'm going to invert this background, right? It's in Mars. There's no clouds, right? Make it, I just did invert, Command I, just invert the background. Invert, image, adjustments. I just did this thing called inverts. So it's opposite of that. Okay. Let's go and see now how this will play out. We're going to save it as, well, I already saved it as number 2. And I'm going to go to File, export, make another animation GIF, right? And this will be, GIF again, perceptual, same thing. Press save. This is number 2. We also have number 1. We save it. Now we have a different composition of the animation. So it's very advantageous to do this in Photoshop because you can always edit your cast members. And yes, lo and behold, we have the 2 produced, and I can make 3, 4, 5. We usually do 3. Get another logo, another client, another theme. So now we have from this one. Right? To this one. Okay, I know it's hard to read the text, the background. I didn't really think it through here, right? I can make it a little brighter, but you get the idea, right? You can do lots of cool stuff with the same thing by swapping elements, right? So that's pretty much, that's what the thing you can do in Photoshop. Some really fun stuff with the animation. I hope you guys found this helpful and exciting and fun, because that's your next little assignment I want you to do, and I give you an extension. So you have a week and a half for this. Honestly, you can do it in 1 hour. Okay. Not a big deal. Take your time, have some fun. And just basically do that part. One more thing quickly. I just wanted to make sure you have everything. I'll leave it alone. All right. Any questions? Because I'm going to stop this video now, so it's nice and simple and everything is included. So I'm just going to quickly address you guys. All right. Hope you enjoyed the today's session there. This is technically our last class. Next week, we'll do it online. If you guys are not going to be here, or you might leave early, because I think the other instructor will finish earlier. So I don't want to keep you guys here all night. So if you guys want to do it remotely, we can meet remotely. It'll be a short class, maybe half an hour, just to say hello, how's it going? Maybe do some quick review. Maybe I'll do an hour or something like that with us together, so we do our due diligence. And maybe I'll give you some time to do some work and stuff, okay? So I might even show up, okay? I might even come here. If you guys are not here, don't feel bad. I'm just downtown sometimes. I'll just show up here anyways. So if I do or I don't, we'll meet remotely regardless, okay? So I'm going to make an announcement. In the meantime, I wish you all a good night. Thank you for watching me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. All right? Bye for now, and have yourself a great week ahead. And good luck going forward. Bye-bye.